Right. So hello, we are here. Thank you for joining us. It has been a wild and wacky day. It's a lonely one, as you can tell.
Yeah. Janet is here. Hello, Janet. It is lovely to see you. Thank you for joining us. So we're kind of, honestly, I have to admit, light on the agenda today because mostly what we've been manifesting, Danny and I, is all of this, right? We've been working on the group. I've been working on our business page. She's been working on transferring things from her personal profile to business profile. So what else have we been manifesting this moon, Danny?
Wow. So this is what we're talking about, consequences. And I wanted to talk about this because we think a lot about our new moon, right? And then we love the full moon. We're like, yay, it's a full moon. We feel right with, but really, how often do we look back and go, okay, what did I really set? And how close was I? What came? What, and where was I off? And for me, I had really intended to return to a feeling, and I put some things on the list, and 3 concrete things actually were like bam, bam, bam. I was like, wow, that wasn't exactly the thing that I had in mind, but stuff I had lost came back. And without going in too much, because I haven't taken it down, so I don't really want to talk about what I did for my new moon altar, other than I wanted some things to return to me very specifically. And they did. And not in the way that I thought, though, because I put down a couple of words that I thought meant the thing, and they were the actual things. But also part of that, one of them, I'll tell you one of them. One of them was a return to love. Like I wanted love to return to me, and not necessarily a person, but that feeling of connectedness. And what's interesting is how that has come together was somewhat spontaneously. I had been thinking about it, but the decision was fairly quick because of a few events. Well, I'll tell you all real quickly. So I separated my personal and my professional profiles. I've been struggling for over 6 months to kind of create a cohesive message, meanwhile dealing with the lack of connection to my family and friends. I have friends all over the world. People snoozing because they don't want to see marketing because it's not their thing. People, my marketing people going through and liking some stalker kind of people, liking my photos with my dad. And that's one is fine, but to go through, comb through your underwear drawer and say, this is a nice one. That's how it felt to me.
Well, because let's be clear here for the people who probably don't know this. Danny, how long has your dad not been with us?
7 years.
Yeah, that's a long time ago to be going back and stalking photos.
Yeah, it wasn't like someone looked through 5 or 6, because I'll go to your profile, look through your stuff, and maybe like a few photos that I just have seen recently. But people were climbing through stuff when I was in show jumping and in living in California. That's been a while. And I finally thought, I get to do this separately. So I never really unfriended people. I moved them. And when we're talking about energetically, for me, that just cleared it up really easy. It's really easy to post to my marketing and business. The branding is really clear. The color is really clear because my marketing for my book, The World Needs Your Art, is all in pink. This is just simple basics. Pink, lime, very Florida colors, right? Because I paint turtles and I designed it when I was doing a lot of tropical art, which I still do. My press is all red, black, and gold. So visually, it was difficult. I was like, how do I make them to go together? Well, they're 2 separate things. I build them differently. I even have different billing for them. So to split them was actually easier than I thought. I was like, because everybody that's my friends that I interact with, people that I really love, there was also some things. I have some high profile family members that people contacted. I had to unlink my family members, and that broke my heart. And it was really, I had to unfriend my sister. I don't even think she knows at this point, but I did, and it sucked. So, and I'm not gonna, people have asked who she is, and I'm not going to tell you. And, and that's why my friends list is closed. Anyway, so what was interesting is how much it was very freeing. And when I asked for those things to shift, it felt, I don't think it's any coincidence that today is that Scorpio moon. We're letting go things that don't serve you. And they both serve me better, because the other thing that happened is I've always been an artist, and I am a person, we talked about duality last week about the 5-2. And because I'm a 2-5 life, I tend to have two sides. I have a very masculine side of boots and t-shirts, and I work on cars and that kind of thing. I like get stuff done. And then I have a very, very feminine side. Well, my businesses kind of have those entities as well. So splitting them was pretty easy, in that it feels like a nice balance for me, because I always know which one works better. Yes, I could work on integrating them. I don't really care. I think they're pretty well integrated, because it's not like my artist is off there.
Now, let's be real clear about this. As someone who has self-integrated as the brand Briar Harvey, I can speak to how fucking difficult this actually really is. So my stuff personally is blue and purple, right? It's this light periwinkle blue and this pretty lavender. Not my favorite shade of purple. This actually is my favorite shade of purple, but it worked well with my branding. It worked well thematically. It was what I chose. So now it's purple and blue and rainbows and butterflies and flowers, and it's fine. But it's not quite me. And it's because it has to encompass all of my things, because it's not just me, the systems person. It's me, the podcaster. It's me, the local in-person group coordinator. I have all of my shit there, and that's hard. I have a friend and coach, Shannon Mann, who was just talking about this last week. You can have all of your things. Do they all need to be under the same umbrella? Will your audience support that? And it's a really interesting question. For most people, the answer is no. For me, it's I am choosing to brand myself as a personality. But that in and of itself is difficult too, because oh boy, do people feel free to have opinions about personalities, right? How often I get nasty ass emails in my inbox and told that I am a horrible person and should die. If that's not something you want to deal with as a personal brand, then it is perfectly acceptable to just say, no, this is my art over here. This is my press over here. And then over here, you have you and me and this stuff, but none of the colors are the same. None of the logos are the same. We've been very deliberate at how we've branded the agency, that it is neither one of us, and it's just something new and different entirely.
Yeah. And when you brought that up, part of the difference too is that one, I don't paint under my first or last name. I paint under my given name and my middle name. And so Lehua, like people are like, whose art is that? And I'm like, okay, we've lost ground here. I lost ground in both directions. And I thought, well, I'll be fine not selling paintings. I'll just sell them on Instagram. But the thing is, people who had already bought were, and were on Facebook, and someone, a branding coach, and she was totally right, was like, this doesn't work with what you're doing. I'm like, and it took a while for me really to be like, okay, I'm going to just go ahead and split all of this up. And it's already working better. It's already easier to manage. And the other thing that I would say is that I have had in the back of my mind that if I want to sell my business, to sell the press, that it is not my name. It's not part of our general publishing company. It is something I would like to create an asset and possibly sell down the way, because I don't want to work forever. I will always paint under my name. So how do and that was when I was trying to brand it under the World Needs Your Art. I'm like, here's this big thing, and it does fit under that, under me. But I'll tell you, so when it comes back to like the full moon of like, I got the return to love, like I wanted love to come back to me, is that I feel like it did, because I love everything I do when it's clearer and it's easier. And I think we're all struggling with looking at our social media, and it's either a love fest or not.
Oh my God. And right now, man, you can see where all the crazies are this past week. Some of the conspiracy theories that have been floating around have pretty much done me in for human interaction.
And let's talk about this in terms of one's marketing, right? When some people love polarizing content, it does get a reaction. And if you're tough and you want to argue with people and stand your ground, this is what I stand for. What I'm seeing is a lot of like business coaches and branding coaches going off about political topics. And the thing is, unfortunately, I will tell you, I don't know how you feel about this, but I'm not saying it's a warning, but I am saying it's a warning, is that if you choose to polarize your people, and you can polarize them quickly if you're very, very certain that your people are just going to jump on board to that. But it's
dangerous if you're not sure.
When I went through the cleaning, the thing is, politics are irrelevant to what I do. I'm strong about them, but I don't speak about them, because we had a fun conversation about when I posted some crab photos on my Instagram, I lost a whole bunch of vegans. I was like, I understand. And I have nothing to say about that. I eat crab, and I occasionally eat meat, and I really support veganism. So I really support good health. I support great food. I don't know what to say about that, but it didn't take much for people to be like, so the thing is it worth losing your audience? And maybe for you it is. It's just, be aware that people who are teaching polarizing works, but it doesn't gain you followers as much as it does repel people.
I think Danny and I could name names here, and we're choosing not to. But I can think of a number of coaches right off the top of my head who talk about how attraction marketing works to pull people closer because you're repelling, which is true if you are perfectly clear on what you're attracting. And it's not any different really than what you do ritually, right? Like, so Danny's not going to talk specifics about her ritual because she hasn't taken hers down yet. I've already taken down my new moon stuff, so I can go ahead and speak to some of the specifics about what I was working for. For me, I tend to write. I like automatic writing. I like unbroken chain writing, which is done in a circle or a spiral. I don't do a whole lot of glyphs, or what's the pattern one called that I find it beautiful, and I don't understand it.
I don't know anything about this.
When you draw out ritual spell work, it's a fun and cool, yeah, but I can't, it's like, it's beyond me. I'm a kitchen hearth witch, so it's herbs and cinnamon and bay leaves and pretty ink on pretty paper. If you've made the paper yourself, even better magically, right? This is where I live. So for me, then it was a ritualistic working. We had birthed the agency, right, as the moon was turning. So we were talking about bringing all of this into life and the group and building something to carry forward. So yeah, to release that, then energetically, I'll be birthing the Facebook page later. Ooh, scary. But Yes, I know. We're going to have a Facebook page, Danny. It's going to be amazing.
Well, yes. I mean, think about Scorpio. I think the other thing is, I think about a day or two ago, I think a lot of people felt it because I saw them mentioning it, was that there was like kind of mid-morning, early morning, around 4 o'clock on the West Coast. There was something, I had this sensation, I guess it was, yeah, Tuesday, this sensation of sparkling, colorful light just pouring out of my chest. And that's how I woke up. I was like, something just hugely shifted. And I think that's really pretty amazing, because with what now, if we look at astrologically what we're about to go through, we have a Scorpio full moon. Our next new moon, which we were just talking about, the challenge, is going to be great because it's going to be in Gemini. It's going to be about balancing your numbers and
duality. It's amazing.
Yep. And then and then you guys will be ready to go with everything on the new moon. So this is cool that we're talking about it. And then whatever we'll look at the full moon too, what we're going into. But today, like, think about where we've been. Like, I think that it was a super moon too. Hello, what did you all, I can't see the audience because I'm just on my phone, like, what does anybody feel like they got, leave something in the comments about what did you feel like you released? And here's the question, is looking back, did you really set the intention to let something go as well as manifest? Because something has to come in where something's gone, or something has to leave for something to come in my opinion.
I don't think we have anybody but me right now, but.
Well, that's okay. They can answer in the questions.
They can answer later. But yeah, it is a question. What are you releasing to make room for? Because you can't just invite things in without making room.
Well, and I really think, okay, so it's a water, we're releasing in water, we're releasing in Scorpio. Really, this is about death, endings, things that really don't serve you. No coincidence today that I started working out again, like, more, I go outside every day, but I was like, I have noticed a little quarantine weight. And, I was like, what have I been eating? Oh, Cheetos. See, I was like, junk food. I don't eat junk food, but I'm like, there's some little part of me that's I'm still a McDonald's cheeseburger is my kid food, right? And I was like, oh, I don't need that. And something like clicked about whatever you're releasing. So I'm wondering, like, for those water signs out there, if you've got strong Scorpio in your chart, this could have been a rough week of letting go. I'm curious about that for you guys. I have lots of Pisces and some Cancer.
I'm Cancer with Scorpio moon, so lots and lots of water in my chart.
So, talking about consequences, because here's how are you guys with self-accountability?
That's always a really interesting question, isn't it? And magically, that's much different than other things, right? Like I say as example, here's my planner, everything is in here. That, my altar is over there. That is not in there. Like, making time for spiritual activities. So it feels incongruous frequently to write it down, like refresh your altar goes on my list fairly often, but it's weird, right? Like, shouldn't I just know to do it? No, it's task. So I think that we get very bogged down in the fact that our spiritual lives should feel a certain way, but we neglect them if we don't make them a part of our lives.
Well, I think I agree. I have always been a person that like responsibilities first, so then when you go to play, your head's clear. However, if you're going through a time where your responsibilities are big and your playtime is small, it will start to feel very much a burden. And for me, the spirituality always feels like play. And so, but so for probably 12, 15 years now, I've spent an hour or two in the morning where I write, I do, what are they called? Kriyas,
Morning pages?
right? Yes, but I do Kriyas too, like Kundalini chants. I meditate and to adapt to whatever's going on, because the energy of whatever is happening in my life needs different support, right? So I know people say, they up the self-care. Let's talk about like accountability as self-care as we're going kind of down this, like, what did you do to get from the new moon to here, and where were you? Like, how much did you put in terms of, okay, you have these intentions. What are the things you did to back them up? I wanted things to return to me. And did I go get them? Yes, I did in a couple of cases. I'm very excited about those. But I allowed myself to have them back. Like, so yeah, I will explain at some point. But I think it's very important that we have accountability. Like, right. This is big on my mind, and how you get it for yourself is just incredibly different for people. But I think with spiritual people is, if you're looking at businesses and where did I come in my month? In this cycle, did I evolve? Did I meet my goals? Did I increase my abundance? Did I let more things in? What's your accountability for that without being hard? We're so hard on ourselves, like, but at the same time to show up in a way that always feels really great, because it does. I was thinking about the things in Scorpio that are part of us that we don't see. This cycle for me showed me the things in me that are still there, that are those beliefs I didn't know I had. This kind of just came to me, that I don't want anymore.
So I think I am letting go of some real perfectionism about my work habits and what they look like. For me, I will have confessed for many years, I am a workaholic. This is a tough thing for me. And when we got sick, we were telediagnosed with COVID. When was that? At the beginning of April. And when we got sick, so I felt like I had mono, and it stuck around for a very long time. I was napping during the day. I was trying to just get enough rest so that I could take care of my sick children and my very sick husband, because, mom life right there, right? And I honestly, my oldest daughter was completely asymptomatic. I was probably the best of the lot of us. The boys had pretty severe fevers. My husband was pneumatic for a couple of days. Like, it was a rough time. And through it all, I felt guilty about not working, which is fucking ridiculous. There is no realm in which my job should ever be more important than the health of my family. And I've had to look hard at this, because while what I do is important and I love the work that I do, it also can't be the only thing. And it can't be more important than scheduling and the other things. And I thought I was really good at lying to myself about the balance that did exist, and it was not there. So I've reduced my work hours pretty significantly. I don't work on Monday and Wednesday during the day when my husband and daughter are out of the house. I do this call on Tuesdays and Thursdays, and then I have calls on Tuesdays and Fridays. And overall, I'd say over the last 3 weeks, I've gotten myself down to about 30 hours a week, which is hugely significant for me. And also, I feel like I'm missing stuff, right? And I'm losing stuff, and I'm not getting it all done. And Danny's laughing at me because, yeah, this is just very, for a project manager to not get it all done, right? And I don't care. And I've had to let it go.
Well, because I'm a very beachy oriented slacker at heart, and this is one thing I've embraced over the last couple of months, is that I want life to be fun. I want life to be a party. I am deeply heartfelt I'm passionate about my projects, and I care about the environment. I care about people and hunger. Some very deep, hard subjects and racism. And I still care about social justice, but I thought, I really want to get there in a fun way, because, and I was kind of attacking my business with the very studious, like, graduate school approach. And I was miserable. Like, even when you're doing it well, you can be really miserable. And since I've lightened up, I also realized that my definition of work has changed a lot in the last couple of months, because when I'm out for 2 hours, because I love being outside, my connection fuels me. And when you find the thing that connects you, you think better, right?
Mhm.
I love this whole, I heard this the other day, again, from Melanie and Lair. We were saying, like, we really like to tell people we're who we're following and what we're watching. And I'll just take credit for this, is that when emotion is high, intelligence is low. Now,
Yep.
I am a very passionate person, and when I am upset, I cannot figure out where my keys are, right? Let alone some way, say I have an emergency, like my truck, God bless it, occasionally blows up. I have an old truck. It's a long story. It's along with the living in the Lexus book I'm going to write someday. But like, when that happens, it's not the time where you're like, I can make $1,000. I know I can do that today. Hold on, let me come up with something, right? Like, I can say that from here. When it happens, you're like, right? And I've learned that for me, 2 hours of walking is 2 hours of working, because I'll go out and I'll be in such a better shape. Now, if dudes can go out and golf and do business deals, you are entitled to go sit by the river and talk to the Rusalka for a couple of hours.
Ooh, very good. Now so how much of this is gendered, do we think, and how much of it is spiritual? I'd argue that it's probably about half and half here, because I think we have one dude in here so far who I press ganged. No, I was very excited to press gang him into our service. And I'm sure we'll get a few more. But spiritually too, I do know men who have problems retreating into the spiritual work when there is work to be done, right? There's something about finding your joy spiritually that can feel, I don't know, too much like play. I think you're onto something there, that it feels good. And so we go, but I have more important things to be doing right now.
Yeah. And I look back, a couple of things hit me, because when I started the press by myself, it was me doing this, me doing this, me doing this, me doing this, and with us working together. And then occasionally things like, oh, we have a third person who helps, who's amazing. And like, oh, I don't have to do that. Like, because
isn't it such a relief? God, there's so much relief, and I don't want to do this. Oh, I can ask Danny if she'll do this.
Right? Like, can you do this? Because, and although you can, there is so much truth I want to say to you, and not in the childish, like, I don't want to. Like, there's a very difference between, like, can you handle this and rock this? Like, can you rock this? Like, I'm not going to just shove it off on someone. And when I was actively at my office with my staff of 12, and I thought, oh yes, I didn't walk around and do the graphics and do the sales and answer the telephone, although occasionally I still picked up the phone. I still helped people ring up pens and pencils in the front office. I still went back when we were out of time and, set ads, or I still did the dishes and mopped the floor, y'all. The glamorous life of a publisher. But my main job was to go, like, some of my best moments were when I went out, I walked around the town and I thought, what do we need for an ad campaign? What does our winery, because I used to do winery advertising in Eastern Washington, which is very different. It's more grassroots wine tasting than if you've ever been to Napa or to France, and it's castles and it's very expensive, and you get dressed up and you're in a wine cave. All right, you go to Eastern Washington, you're meeting the growers, they're family owned wineries, very different kind of marketing. So I'd walk around town, I'm like, what can we say about our town? And I realized as I was developing those wine publications that being the talent, being the brilliant idea person that a lot of you are, you might have to do your graphics right now by yourself. Find a way to do it that's fun. That's how I came from, like, WordSwag and Canva on my phone. It's like, I can make really beautiful stuff. It has to be small and beautiful anyway. You might as well do it on your phone, right? For some things. And then you can spend the time coming up with fun ways to be excited, because if you're doing 80% of the stuff that doesn't make you feel good to do your 20% of coaching, you're going to start to resent what you're doing. You'll resent other people killing it. And there's always a way. If you can't afford to hire someone right now, you might find someone that loves the part you hate. I promise you, there's people who love math. There's people who love grinding books. That is, if all of us were artists, there would be no banks. That's all I'm going to say. We would have no money. We'd be like, would you like my chicken? Would you like a chicken for that, baby?
We will at some point in time, probably after the challenge, because outsourcing is a big one that we talk to clients about a lot, and it's much, much easier than you think that it is. It is also probably more affordable than you think that it is, especially if you're only giving away small pieces and parts. And I am not talking about subjugating Filipinos in order to make that happen. Let's be very clear that I am for months. I don't know if anyone else saw this, because probably nobody scouts marketing ads like I scout marketing ads. But there was an ad for someone who was talking about how you could offload all of your virtual assistant tasks for less than $4 an hour. And I'm like, no, that's not what we're talking about here. When we're talking about outsourcing, we're talking about paying someone a living fucking wage and getting them to do the work that you yourself don't want to work.
Well, and the thing is, I will say to this, a professional who knows what they're doing can, like, we had the amazing woman, I don't know if we can name her.
Emily's in the group, so yeah, go ahead and name her.
Yes, the amazing Emily, go through and do some cold pitching through my LinkedIn. And what took me literally like 7 grinding days of like skillfully dragging, like, it was painful because I was like, okay, I'm walking into their house. I'm I totally got my own way. She knocked out every one of my contacts.
Every single one of your contacts in 2 hours.
And it worked. And the point was offload the stuff. Like, if you can't do graphics, don't try. I mean, like, really find someone who's fabulous at it, building a portfolio. We'll talk about it, but there's lots of ways to do. You should be working on, no matter your audience size, your fabulous offer, your rapport with people you want to work with, and how you're going to take your money, like, and asking for it. Like, those are the things you need more than anything. And so for me, letting that go, like letting some of that go, realizing like, it's okay. You're not a diva. I fight my diva thing because part of me can be a little you know, like, can I just sit on a beach while people bring me cocktails? You know, like I
Wouldn't
really
that be lovely? It
enjoy.
sounds lovely, but it'd get old really fast is the thing. For you and I am quite certain it would get old after about a week.
So I used to never take, when I took my vacations, I would work a couple hours. I learned this from my dad. He worked a couple hours in the morning whenever he was traveling or on vacation, and he did a lot. We traveled a lot. And I would always see him, and he would get up and he would have his breakfast and do his thing, and then he would be in contact with his office, and then he would do his computer and do his emails, and then he was free to do it more. And I think that's what attracted me to online, was that you know, I'm still very much welded to an 8-hour workday. You know, I did that. I had an 11:59 deadline on Tuesday. I still do for the last 80, I don't know, since 84, right? Like I'm still very much like, I would leave work at 3:30 on Friday. You know, my staff's leaving at 1, and I'm still in that realm a lot. So I work with it because I don't need to, and it's different because when you take it, I don't walk out a door anymore. So when I'm still thinking about it, you and I have both had nights where I'm like, the night I sang you to sleep, I'm like, it's 11:30 my time. Go to bed. Why are we still talking? I hate you. Go away.
Because I am a night owl and those are my hours. And, you know,
it's all good.
I think that, so we were talking about letting go of things and how this all works into your manifestation. We will have at some point in time an entire hour on what Danny and I think is wrong with manifestation culture. Today is not that day. However,
chanting for ducats. We're gonna call it. It's chanting for ducats. You know, like, no. I'm sorry. I call it chanting for ducats because I made a shitload of money in this lifetime, and it has energy, but it's not because you sit around and wish.
But it's not because you sit around chanting and journaling and doing nothing.
Right.
All of these things, at the end of the day, the consequences of your actions are the consequences of your inactions. There is no in between here. What you built, what came to you, what you let go of, all of those require you to act.
Well, I will. Yeah, I will say that I will share this. This is pretty personal, but I had a moment about probably going to talk about stuff that lets go. And I do believe when I say energy, I might come up with a new word for it because it's kind of misused. That where you're coming from, that generation, that place of generation, your seed energy, whatever you want to call it, will send you in a rocket direction, right? So I'm standing out, like I've been doing a lot of deserving worthiness work kind of thing, because I realize that still holds me back. And as we go to new levels, you just, that it's an onion. Don't ever think
right,
that
you always got to come back to that work. Never ever think that you've ever made peace with yourself, because this, as soon as you think that you have, you will discover, oh wait, no, I lied. I hate myself. It's fine.
Well, and if you want to know how you're doing, we were discussing this ad campaign for the $100,000 offer. I'm like, I don't have one. What would it take? And I was like, you have to feel like you are worthy of those bigger numbers. Not only have something good to offer, but can you ask for it? So I was standing out in the trees and I was doing it, and something hit me right in the chest in the middle of this walk. And this is why I go and talk to my trees, is that I was listening to some stuff and it hit me so hard. And I felt, not only did I hear, but I felt I am worthy. And it's been a long time. I've been through some shit the last 4 or 5 years, starting all of this and remaking my whole life, that I'm worthy of so much. And it hit me like something put it there, right? Like it was, and to see everything from that feeling of really embodying it and feeling like I will admit that I in this cycle saw some ways that I was underselling myself, and overselling when you don't feel worthy, you can like press a little too hard of like trying to justify, like, I've got all these awards and I've got all this thing. When you own and you want to make more sales, people will feel whether or not you're safe. Right? I don't have any desire to chase anyone. After it hit me, I will never do more than one follow-up on a client ever again. Like, cause I used to, cause follow-up.
Oh God, did you used to? Oh Lord, let me tell y'all about the clients that Jenny has chased over the years.
Well, and the thing is, I refuse to beat myself up about it, because I had learned what we have a lot of advertisers that have been with us 27 years. You just go by on Wednesday about 2:00 and you like, hey, do you want an ad today, Bob? No. Okay, thanks. I'll see you next week. You're right. So there's a part of me like follow-up is amazing. On the other hand, when you're following people who don't pay their invoices, just let them go. Right. It was like, no, like underneath that for me. And I could say that there was still a part of like, did I not do the sale well enough? Did I not do this? Did I not point out to them how good this would be for them? And when you go through enough people now, enough sales, because we've gone from a few leads to like a lot more leads, right? Like when you start talking to more and more and more and more and more people, and I want you all to know that it's not necessarily you. You're going to have, that's why we talk about numbers. You need to see and talk to a lot of people. Remember, we're at the state fair. We're selling hot tubs or really fabulous fireplaces. Probably we are not selling light chasers, but you're going to see a lot of people. When you're doing high ticket, you're selling hot tubs. Anyway. Yeah.
I feel like we'll be coming back to this particular analogy, because selling hot tubs at the state fair has all kinds of places that we can go with that. And it's accurate. When you're selling hot tubs at the state fair, there's a lot of people walking by, and you're not going to call them all over.
Right. But they obviously sell enough hot tubs to the state fair to keep coming back. Right. And so,
because that booth fair at the state fair is no joke, and that is a significant investment even for the hot tub people, not to mention getting the hot tubs there and on display. Any public facing event is actually work to put on, so the hot tub people are making money at the state fair, but holy shit, they're not calling everybody over.
They're not, no. And that, and that's how you think about it. Like if you start to, I will leave you with my takeaway from the full moon of how you're doing your sales. Think about it. If you're standing at the state fair, are you standing, everybody has walked by that one guy who's so needy, and I love you all. It's just that you really need to sell your stuff. It's okay that you're needy. It's okay that it hurts. It's okay for it to suck when people don't see your shit and they don't buy it. It's okay. You're allowed to hurt over that. It is your heart and soul you're selling.
Oh, and the nose, even when you get good at them, every now and then, I've been doing this particular, and I've been submitting writing for more years than I've been an entrepreneur. I have heard thousands of no's in my lifetime, and every now and then you'll still get one that hurts.
Yeah. And the thing is, why part of this, we really want you to understand that we're sensitive people. You're sensitive people. These people in here, you're sensitive, and you're
I'm
beautiful.
sensitive. Sorry. No one usually accuses me of being a sensitive person, so I'm going to take that one and write it on the calendar. May 7th, the day Danny accused me of being a sensitive person.
I have to rethink that now. Maybe I'm wrong. I lost my train of thought. That sometimes your presentation, my point was, sometimes your presentation, you really need to be kind and thoughtful when you self-assess of what if, if I'm too grabby, if I'm too needy, if I'm chasing, if I'm being self-righteous, that's another thing coaches, like, whether or not this is the brutal truth that I am starting to tell more people, is that how would you act if you had a nice store? I had a luxury tax store with my parents. We've had 2 big family businesses. Is that we set ourselves aside by being a place where you could come in. It was anybody on any budget. We sold $300 pants, y'all, and $900 jackets and $1,000 helmets. But we also had $100 pants and $200 jackets because we sold stuff for the love of riding horses. Now, if you sell for the love of riding horses and you walk in there of like, you are my fucking people, and you don't love every client, and then you have people who are like, whatever you say, I will buy it. If you say I look good in it, they will trust you. Like, think of that, like, instead of this strange digital thing of like, there's too much that thing component. When you take out some of that self-consciousness and focus on the love in your sales, you won't be so self-conscious. So you won't be like they're standing there with my, like, here's my candle lid, like, please buy my candle lid. Fucking nobody's buying my candle lid. What's fucking, I don't know, it's small. Hey, you should buy this, motherfucker. And that's how some of us get, myself included, where I was like, I don't understand. I got really angry for a while. I feel like I'm doing therapy today on this, but I did let go a lot of stuff this month with this, because I felt very hurt that people would read my writing and then like never buy anything. I was like, why aren't you buying classes? Why aren't you buying coaching? You're all saying you want cheap stuff. My one-on-one's too expensive, but nobody buys my courses. And so ultimately I was like, well, that has nothing to do with my writing. It took a while to get there. But I also realized I felt needy and desperate when I was selling, and I was chasing people. I'd follow up with people who promised to pay and ghosted. I'd follow up with people who had asked on things. I'd follow, like,
we had a guy, guys. We had a guy who swore up and down that he didn't receive our invoice like 4 times. It was the weirdest ghosting I believe I have ever experienced.
I can't really explain it. And ultimately, I mean, and this is the one where you follow up. Like, this is where you have to be a responsible business owner with your clients. Is like, you don't harangue them. You want people to want to be there. Someone kept telling me they hadn't seen it. They said they were going to pay stuff. And then ultimately I was like, okay, no big deal. I don't have any bad, but like, I didn't do anything wrong. We didn't do anything wrong. It just didn't work. Why get hung up on that shit? Some people, myself included, I'm just saying, like, make it easier for people to buy. And part of that is selling in a way that you would want to be sold to.
So here's what it is from me. And this perhaps has a touch of arrogance to it, which is why I find it amusing to be accused of being sensitive. But the fact of the matter is that I don't sell things to people who don't need them. My things are good things. And I know that you need my thing. And I know you need it because you've said you needed it, or because we've had a conversation about your need, or because we've been friends for a while and I know you and you need this goddamn thing. Right? Those are some ways that you've built this relationship around the thing that you sell. So that when I come to you and say, hey, are you ready for the thing now? So frequently they'll say, oh yeah, I am ready now. And thank you for bringing it to me. And I said, and the answer is, I bring it to you because you're my friend and I know you need the thing. It's, if I know you need the thing, and I can approach it as a need rather than a desire for me to sell the thing, because it's really not about me. It's about your need. It's a different transaction.
It really is. And that's why when you're creating your programs, for all of you, if you don't know what to offer, of like, what would, if you had a gaggle of, I always start with like, well, if you had a nice party of friends, you were going to throw something on Friday night and it was, your offer was the party. What do they really need? And I think when your offer's a little bit off, you can be a little bit weird to sell it, and because you know it's not quite perfect. Or the riskiest thing is, I think, if people in the coaching space are encouraged to like fake it till you make it. But if you have integrity, which a lot of spiritual people do,
faking it is out of fucking integrity.
Don't fake it. Go solidly with like, okay, I want to get to 7, but right now I'm only offering 5. Don't promise 7. Go with 5 and over deliver. Over deliver on 5.
There are absolutely ways to get paid for experimentation. In marketing, we call that beta testing. But really, if we're talking spiritual things, here, I'm trying something new. Will you pay half price for it to see how it works for you? This is, it's not unethical to say, I'm trying something new. I still would like to get paid for my work, but it's not a full price item yet.
Right. And
Fiona's been doing that lately with her human design readings, and it's brilliant and it's beautiful and people are loving them. And that's how you test a new offer. That's also how you determine if the market will bear that offer, because if they'll pay half price for it, they will definitely pay full price for it.
Yeah. And if you want to experiment, there's always places. When I started doing public readings, because I did readings for my friend, I was like, do I want to advertise to non-people? I don't know how I feel. So I thought, what would it be like? And then I also wanted to validate that I was like, maybe I'm a really good cold reader. What if I'm just a psycho? Right? This is my thought. So I marched
with spiritual abilities. This is tough, because are you really hearing other voices, or are you schizophrenic?
Right? So I went down to the local crystal shop and I did free days for a month. And after I had validated that, like beyond, first of all, I took cards. So those people would call me later if I want to give them out. And some I was like, oh, I'll take cards just in case,
And you can leave a hat for tips too. And you will likely get them, especially if the reading is good.
And speaking of which, well, hard to do right now, but never write off the fact that you can go locally and test your ideas. Do some free coaching at Starbucks. There's nothing to stop you from putting up a sign that says new life coach, free 10-minute sessions. Let me see if I can help you.
I mean, fuck, put up a Lucy sign. Psychiatric advice, 5 cents, right? Like this is a
because
ordinary times. Yeah.
Yeah, confidence comes from doing it. And if you're new to doing it, like you've been doing it for fun for your friends and this is your thing, it's cool to do that. Just try with strangers before, because it will help you increase your confidence with sales, and then you'll have some testimonials. You don't have to do 5,000, do 5. Find 5 people who'll be like, I want a life coach. People need help, or human design, which I'm interested in. I don't know much about yet. Like,
well, Fiona's your girl. That's what I'm telling you.
It looks really fun. Or
it does.
You want to learn more about astrology, or and if you want to deepen your craft, try that on your existing, some of your existing clients of like, hey, I'm going to do this. There's some cool ways to establish your confidence, which then, adds up to the like there's things in your life right now you can say, I'm 100% the best person. I have this. I don't even have to think about it. It's breathing, right? Think about how you get your things that you're a little bit nervous about in your heart. Because we'll be honest, like sales come from lack of confidence on offers that are not well thought out. Anything else? Do you think? I mean, that's the main 2 causes, I think. And a lot of you, it's probably more confidence that you just are like, you want the bigger money. And I think we're gonna talk more about this. How do you ask for the bigger money that you deserve? But you're like, really? Someone's gonna pay me that much?
I know. It's a lot. So next week, on Tuesday, we will be having the beautiful Leanne Hale to come and talk to us about PR. which for you guys is going to be an interesting question. How do you build a personal brand? How do you talk to people about woo stuff when people can be very anti-woo? How do you name it and claim it? And those things really do matter. So we're going to have Leanne. I'm very excited about her. And then next Thursday, I don't think we have a topic yet, so it'll be a surprise. Ooh. And then the following week is when we're starting the challenge. So do we have a 2-minute synopsis of the challenge yet, Danny?
No, we're still working on it because we're blending on how do you create the energy to these numbers that we've been talking about with your energy, and how you don't have to get to 1 million followers to start selling. This is one thing I'm really going to be excited to report on these separate accounts, because I really think a concentrated, focused audience is bigger than a huge one. I know connected, but we'll see.
We'll see. It's going to be a fantastic experiment, and whether it works or doesn't, it's a fantastic experiment, and we'll be able to come back to you guys in 6 months and say, so this is the difference between running everything through one account versus running everything through separate, not cohesive accounts. So yeah, I think it's going to be good.
I think it would be fun if you guys want to put any requests for Thursday. We might be willing to put something together. Fun to do that. If not, we'll come up with something genius.
And please do share in the comments with us what you are letting go of or releasing or benefiting from this full moon, and we'll see if we have anything to offer you there.
Nice.
Yes.
Thank you all so much for watching and joining. So good to see it. Socially getting together. It's good.
Oh, right. Bye.